Hello? Oh, no. Hello? Oh. Um, so I was hoping to get some feedback, as well as perhaps kickstart my two other characters, um, and then of course the walkthrough on how to turn them in, so I could turn them in tonight, to get graded, and perhaps begin working on my week three submissions.
Okay.
Um, so
Do you remember the submission? Um, the submission
process.
process from week one?
Um,
If not, it's
oh,
okay. I mean, we can definitely take a look.
uh,
But it's going to be exactly the same, and then week three will follow suit. The only one that changes is week four. Week four, we do a Maya submission. So,
so this is how my character looks.
okay.
Um, I don't know what more to do. Um,
Okay, can you share the screen with me?
oh, you can't see it.
Yeah, no. Not yet, not yet.
Where's the escape key?
It should be over to the left.
Um,
On the left, and you'll see a little green box. When you got to bring the cursor over there, and it'll kind of pop out of the side of the screen. I don't know if it shows up when you're in full screen. Well, it doesn't look like it.
can you see?
No, I'm still seeing. Here, I'll show you. Okay, so if you go to the side of the screen over here, you'll see screen share.
That's weird. I clicked on it, and now it's not showing up. Oh, I see it again.
There we go. Okay.
Did you? Oh, I have to. Okay. How about now?
There we go.
Um, this is what I have so far.
Okay.
What are your thoughts for a week two? What did I just minimize? A week two turn-in. Should I do more?
Do you have your reference?
Uh,
Bring up your reference for me. Yeah, I mean, for this week, you would be, establishing all the parts. It looks like they're all established. They just would need shaping, because this week is all about creating the canvases that will accept clothing seams and wrinkles of for next week. So what I would say here is, it looks like the parts that would need to be established are established, but their shapes are off. If you look at your plating for the arm gauntlet, that's a very nice, solid feeling piece. But on the model, it still feels a little loose. Also, the gauntlet has kind of a cone shape to it, whereas on your model, you kind of have this little bit of a bulge happening on those shapes. So what you could, I mean, as far as complete, it is complete. Some of the edges can be cleaned up and the shapes can be worked on. So, that would be the big thing.
I just don't know how to do that. I mean,
Okay. Well, one of the things, and I always want my students to understand that you don't have to know all the funky tools, right? All the tools that I cover, those are great in some cases, but in other cases, I mentioned this in the last lecture. that sometimes you go to what's quick and what we do understand. So something like the what is it? Just regular brushes, right? So I can show you some brushes, just plain old brushes that would help get the shapes a little bit more accurate. But then again, the thing is, you have to weigh out how much more time do you want to spend on it. Do you want to call it as it is? You're learning, what you need for the class. We may not have um, we may not have time to refine constantly. You know what I mean? So what you have is complete. Um, it's looking okay. We both, I think, understand that it could look better if there was more time spent on it. But do you want to spend more time on it?
Um,
You know what I mean? Because we got to move into the next week, and we don't want this class to step on next month's class too much.
yeah,
So, I mean, how do you feel it looks?
I I hate it, but I just don't know what to do. Um,
Okay.
you know, it's
Yeah. No, no, I hear you. Definitely hear you. Again, if you want, you can send me the asset, and I'll grab my tablet, and I can show you some real basic ways of trying to get that shape, a little cleaned up. But that's up to you. It's either that or you just kind of take it as it is and complete the other ones and get them in.
yeah. Wait, how do I share it again?
What did we do last time? I think we did OneDrive, Google Drive.
Yeah, wasn't it somewhere over?
I think it's the little cloud. Yeah, I think that's it.
What do I click on?
That looks like the Google one. Yeah, let me get my tablet set up while you get that going. So when I do this, I'm going to keep things real basic as far as brush usage.
I forgot how to share.
I think you right click and then you should see share down at the bottom. And what's under more?
Add activate.
Yeah, it doesn't have the Google Drive in there. I think you have to put it in your Google Drive, and then you should have a folder on your computer or OneDrive. So click on that, and then you see the folder up at the top. That should open up the folder with your shareable stuff. Put the asset in there. And then you should be able to right click on it now and share since it's in that.
Oh wait, I just drag and drop the whole thing.
Yeah, what did we do last time? Did we do a copy and paste?
I think so.
Okay.
Oh.
I mean, this is an actual folder on your computer, so if you want, just either drag it out or right click and then copy, make a copy, and then put it on your back to where it came from.
Okay, let me copy and put it back
Okay.
into. Okay, so now that it's in, what do I do again?
You should be able to right click on it inside of that, and then you see up top share with Google Drive. But you're going to want to copy link to clipboard, I believe, and then in email,
Oh,
you're just going to paste that link.
hmm.
You should use Control V to paste it. There you go, and then just send.
Wait, do I turn the link sharing on?
Someone needs access. Some screenshot of you. Turn link sharing on it with the sharing. Yeah, let's try that. Sounds like a good one.
Turn link sharing on.
Basically, what that's saying is that anybody you give that link to can view that that asset. Go ahead and hit send, and I will let you know when I get it. Just got it. There we go.
After you show me this, perhaps we can cover the submissions again.
Okay. So I've got that, and then download it. Okay, I've got it loaded up. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. I'll show you ZBrush. Okay, so we've got our referencing. My ZBrush might be frozen. Let's bring that back up. There we go. Let's take off live boolean. We definitely don't need that on. I could make a mess of things. Okay, so I'm going to focus on the cowling, and let me make sure that the reference is there, which is great. Okay. All right, so I'll follow this side over here a little bit more. But we will make sure that we have symmetry turned on. Just regular symmetry, cool. Okay, so the main thing here with the cowling or his cape is the edge following the shape, and then it looks like the edge should be following up into this point, but you kind of have it going down and around the sleeve. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to use basic brushes and Dynamesh. I think that's going to be my go-tos for this asset.
But this is a Z-sphere. I thought Dynamesh is a completely different thing.
Now, remember I talked about as far as building methods, this week you can do whatever is needed to get the job done other than using pre-made parts and stuff like that. So let me see if I can't find that spot there. Another good thing to work with is solo, right? That allows you just to kind of focus on. But if you want to hide everything, if you hold shift, you kind of hit the little eyeball, you can get that structure. So if you want, I'll work with it exactly with the topology that's there. We can kind of see how that would look. But the problem's going to be trying to get this up to where it needs to go. So I'll do it two ways, if that's okay. I'll show you why, one just using the plain old piece, and the other one's going to be making sure that we're using, Dynamesh, just so you can see the difference. Because I want you to know that it can be shaped with what's here. All right, so I'm just smoothing that out. And this is the regular geometry that you have. And what this is going to take is a lot of smoothing and pulling. Maybe some other brush usage. Just trying to smooth that out a little bit more to find that edge. Okay. So masking that off. I'm always targeting the big shapes first. That's my go-to. Not going to get into too much of the wrinkle stuff. I've got to save that for next week. Okay, just gonna make my brush smaller so I can. A lot of pushing and pulling, right? Just want to try and straighten up that line. I don't need to do that anywhere else. Okay, so now you can see that the cape follows your drawing. Right? That's kind of the way you drew it, so we can have that little bit of a, or the cowling, we have that sticking up. Right? And you did a really good job matching up this shoulder. So one of the things that's happening here is the base structure is a little bit off. Right? We want to be able to have this coming over the chest a little bit more. But I'm just going to, I'm going to work with mainly the front image. Kind of put that where it needs to be. It already matches your shoulder, so I don't really know if I'm going to be able to move that all that much. You can see you have a little bit more of a point drawn. So I did show this in class. It was kind of quick, but if you go to curve and turn on AccuCurve, that allows you to pull pointier structures. You have to be careful knowing that it's on.
Where do you go to?
If you go to brush, so with the move brush, this will be something that gets turned on basically per brush, but if you go to move, you'll see AccuCurve under curve. So it normally looks like this. So under brush in the top main menu, curve, AccuCurve. My bad. And you can see that. That'll allow me to get a little bit of a pointier shape as I'm pulling that around. And you might turn it off from time to time. Okay. So now, got a little bit of a coughing spell there. It'll just get worse if I keep talking. There we go. Okay, so now you can see it matches, the edge line goes up and matches, and that was with the geometry that you already had in place. Right, so if we wanted to do this again, right, if we look at what you have, this is what you had before. It kind of feels like just a point. And you did the extraction and everything, which is great, but now we have the other thing there. Right, so more accurate, less accurate. Okay, so the other way of approaching refining these shapes is to utilize Dynamesh, and I know it was a Z-sphere, but you are capable. I mean, most of the things I did in class were extract it and then Dynamesh it almost instantly. It was just one of those things. That allows you to clean up the shapes sometimes better. I mean, that piece that we just did, I think worked out pretty nicely with the default geometry, but if we don't know, you know, we might just do a Dynamesh. And you got to watch out for resolution. We don't want to go too low because that can hurt us. That looks pretty good. But what this will allow us to do is to be a little bit more aggressive with kind of smashing and moving stuff around. Just Dynamesh that. Dynamesh it again. So this gives us a little bit more on the fly type. Just kind of, now I need to do this, I need to do that, right? You can just do it pretty quickly and get that to what we need. But in both cases, I want you to really understand that I'm just matching what you drew. Right, and I'm using the move brush and smooth in most cases. I haven't touched any sculpture brushes yet other than, like I said, the move brush. Because I want to stay true to your artwork. Everything. Get back on. Okay, so whatever way you go, though, you're always wanting to follow what it is you see. And so I'm going to go and make sure that that is what we got. Now I'll just update my Dynamesh from time to time and smooth out. And you can see that the shape itself stays relatively the same. And we can keep shaping. I'm just kind of doing this quickly. We can keep on pushing it further to get that more accurate. Now, so either way you choose to go on it, whether you stick with what you've got, you can see the shape doesn't change much. Right? But we're more accurate to your reference. Now, things like your emblem, okay, is this Dynamesh or is this extracted? I think it's just extracted.
I just extracted it and tried smoothing it, and it.
Okay. Well, what we're going to need on certain things like this is, I'm going to go ahead and Dynamesh. The reason I'm going to Dynamesh is I noticed this little bit of a problem at the top. I'm going to go ahead and Dynamesh that and get a little bit more resolution. And I'm going to kind of pull that shape a little bit more. But I need Dynamesh to fix. There's really no way to get this stuff to do what we need it to do without Dynamesh, right? If we keep it non-Dynamesh, we're gonna, whatever's broken is gonna stay broken. Okay. Now I'm noticing that this shape is a little bit more angular, a little bit more hard surface. So we're gonna then move into that type of a workflow. Right? And again, I'm gonna keep it real, just kind of basic tools. Okay. So in this right here, you can see in this case, I'm probably gonna need that AccuCurve because I need a sharper point. I'll make sure my brushes are right size. Okay. Then we also need a sharper point in here. I'm going to try and see if I can't leverage that. And a sharper point at the bottom. Okay, not perfect, but I'm just trying to get things established. Let's pull the bottom, corners a little bit more, and then push up into the side. Okay, so from this point on, I'm going to Dynamesh. Okay, Dynamesh has pretty much served its purpose, right? Other than let's move these a little bit more in. Just mask off a little bit. Invert.
How do you do that?
Masking or
Inverting.
Inverting is holding control and clicking in just the open space. I'm gonna try and push this because in your drawing it looks like they're a little closer together. Try and get that a little bit better. Okay, and again, letting Dynamesh eat up any of the bad geometry that I might be getting. Okay, so Dynamesh I'm using to add more shape and structure. I'm using Dynamesh to build up sizing, the volume, and really kind of get my shape. At a certain point, though, Dynamesh will get turned off. Okay, so a couple other things I want to do is I'm going to switch, and now I will use a brush. I'm going to use the Trim Dynamic. This is, Trim Dynamic over here. This is one that I really like. I like it for shaving down a shape or something like that. Right, so I will be getting into using that one soon, but I need to make some more shape changes. Brush a little smaller. Because I think this has kind of a wedge shape to it. I don't know if I'm seeing that correctly in the drawing. I want to make sure that I get that. Okay. And I probably should double check and make sure that it's staying on the chest of your character. Okay, and let's bring up one of the column pieces. Make sure that looks like that has to be adjusted, but we'll be able to adjust a little bit as we go. I think I need to wrap this a little bit more down. So I'll make my brush a little bigger. Flatten that up a little bit. Make my brush a little smaller. That's another thing, is always adjusting your brush size. It's very important. I still notice a lot of people not doing that as much as they should. Okay, so we kind of have that. And again, I know at this point I'm trying to make it look better than what it was. As far as matching the reference, That would have been, that's going to take a long time. So I'm just trying to get more of the characteristics of what it is you have. Okay, so I feel like we got a pretty good amount. I'm going to go clay buildup for just a little bit, because I want to make sure my shape is good. So this is just going to help me kind of establish a little bit more of an even, just kind of being gentle with it. I'll just hide that there. I'm going to bring up the middle, and kind of come off to the sides. I also use this to kind of shave off some shape as well. I'm building up and I'm pushing down. I just want this to be a little bit more even as I'm working, because the next phase is going to really rely on that. I have to be careful. Smoothing too much can really hurt the shape. Okay, so it's a little more refined, a little bit more even. So at this point, I'm going to say that Dynamesh is done. I'm going to turn it off. And you don't necessarily have to, right? I could just keep up-resing this and Dynameshing as I need, right? So if you want to keep it simple, you just add more resolution, update your Dynamesh, more geometry to work with. Right, so either way. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the trim adaptive dynamic. You see what this is all to do. I'm going to start putting an edge. And you can push real hard with this, right? Kind of flatten off an area. So like our symmetries going to give us a little bit of problems there. Update Dynamesh. You can't fix that. I might have to get it a little bit more. So I know how Dynamesh, or how this brush should be working. As soon as I see it, as soon as something not investigate that a little bit. Just needs more from side to side, more similarities. Actually, take symmetry off, the geometry more like it does on the other. You know what? If I got to do both sides one at a time, that's fine. It's really off. Turning symmetry off. And when all else fails, if you're like, man, this just isn't working, don't forget we can always mirror and weld and replace one side with another side. Not seeing that something's going on with that piece there. Let's turn Dynamesh off. Well, no, I don't want to mirror weld. Interesting. If I duplicate it. Subdivisions. Nope. Let's try mirror and weld again. I ran into a little snafu here. Maybe it has. Oh, that's what's going on. It's over there. Interesting. This is in the wrong direction. Well, that makes sense. Okay.
How did it get on the other side?
So, it's just, I think it's the way the model's sitting. So I'm just going to take this and delete one of them because they're the same thing. And then we're going to take this and we're going to go split the parts. We're going to take the one we don't need and delete it. And we've got the one right direction. Let's shift P. Let's take a look. Okay, we want to go on the Z axis. Looks like your character, your front is the Z axis, but it looks like you built X axis front, so he's going to be sideways. No real big deal. It's just something to make note of, because it'll change things like mirror and weld. We're going to go over the Z axis. Let's just slider palette is not set to 0 maybe. Okay, there we go. Now we got it. So let's go in here and hide that. But now there's enough information in here that I can start making this a little bit more accurate. Just kind of we'll try to get that basic structure. Okay, we'll switch back to trim dynamic. Shaving down. Again, if you've ever done whittling or anything like that, this is very similar process, kind of just planing a structure down. And I'm not being too cautious about anything underneath, things that are going to be stuck into the chest of the character. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about creating cleaner line and subject. Just working on that. Push this a little bit more, a little flatter, and we'll put that a little bit more, get it a little bit flatter. Switch. Go in here. I think I'm going to need the Damien standard, so again, just using brushes here to kind of help get some lines situated. And back to trim dynamic. Make the brush a little smaller. If I ever notice that a brush isn't working for me, I'm going to go in there and look at some other ones and see if there's something else that might do what I needed to do. I'll go ahead and update. I think I turned Dynamesh off. All right, some people like Flatten. Flatten does something very similar to what we were working with. Yeah, I feel like it's similar to what we were on already. So I don't know if I like it too much. I think I like Trim Dynamic a little bit better. Some people really dig that one. Plateau is another one that's not too bad. What I do like about Plateau, or Planer, if used right, what it does is whatever you click on first, it kind of tries to plane everything out to that. Right, so you have to be careful with it because the angle's off. Right, it'll pull whatever that angle is. So you kind of have to have something. You have to know where you're clicking and kind of trying to pull it. And you can see it; it'll do some funkiness on that. So, but we're looking just for cleaner, right? We're looking for something that's going to work a little bit better. So I'm just going to keep planing this off here. Too big. Right, so kind of working with that. And then I'm going to use it in here a little bit more to try and get this. Okay, so you can see that in some areas it's working really nice, other areas it's not. Remember, this is really just it's kind of like a file. You're filing off a little bit. So you're probably going to need to switch back into some of the other brushes. I'll work with it just a little bit longer. Look at it different directions. So what I'm looking for now is my edge quality. Like you can see where it dips down right in here. These are things that I'm going to go back in and grab the move brush and just kind of nudge. And get that line a little bit better, a little bit straighter. See here, same thing. And since I'm making larger changes, I'm actually making structural changes here. This is where Dynamesh, again, will show through as something worth using for a while longer. But once you're getting into just refining surface shape and everything, Dynamesh is no longer needed. I'm moving that up. I'm going to look at it from the side and just, it's like working with clay. Make sure that Accu curve is turned on. So
Yes.
turn that back on. Same big move and then smooth. Update Dynamesh. Dynamesh. Wait. Trying to make sure that we're where we need to be on that line. Update Dynamesh. Okay, we'll switch back in now that we've got it a little bit cleaner. I'll go for a little bigger. Oh, missed that one there. Good one. There's definitely tools that make this a little bit easier, but I'm just trying to keep it as straightforward with the basic tools, the basic just brushes. That's all we had for a long time. I remember when extraction didn't exist. You had to go out, you had to build on top of the model inside of Maya. It was just the workflow. Let's make sure Accu curve is turned off because we're going to start straightening up the line there. Now, another thing I did mention this in lecture as well. I'm going to change to the basic material. That's going to help me see a little bit better. Right, that red wax kind of gets in the way with the way that it handles the lighting. Kind of hurts my ability to see certain things. All right, so I'm going around, and it's starting to look better. We're starting to get that more chiseled. This is made out of metal type thing, or it's that like rubber that all the superheroes are wearing now. And you can change the color of this gray, right? We don't have to leave it the light gray. Okay, so now that I've got it somewhere here, I will struggle with really making refined lines 100% the way I want them. There's going to be a couple things that'll stand in my way. Resolution and the topology. So I don't really want to get into too much of that, but I just want you to know that pushing this further will take more geometry or a better polygon layout. Right? So what I might do is, leverage more geometry. I don't think I would be doing any more structural changes. I think it's looking pretty decent. It's a little bit wonky here and there, but I might turn off Dynamesh and start working with regular subdivisions. So my topology will look just like Dynamesh topology, but I'm now using regular subdivisions. Now we've got a lower res, and we've got a higher res, and I might use a couple of these, but this will help me be able to refine my points a little bit more and the shapes a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to pinch, and this works really nice. I'm going to turn on lazy mouse. Pinching will sometimes give me more refinement on my edges. And you always go through and you smooth a little bit and pinch again.
So the pinch tool, you use that on edges?
Yeah, you can see that it's kind of pulling. And now I can go in and with the move brush, if I really want to adjust this, I have a clear line that I can adjust.
How did you activate that red line again when going down the edge, going down the side?
That's lazy mouse, so it's the L key, or you can go to stroke at the top. We'll turn on lazy mouse. Now the thing you want to do is your lazy radius, put it up to about 30, somewhere in that window. It's going to help out with managing your line. Okay, so now I can go in and I'll make my brush a little bit bigger again, and I'm in the wrong brush. Go back to pinch. Now you'll notice that when we're in zones like this, sometimes I have to take lazy radius off, so I can just kind of get into the corner there. All right, so I turn it back on, I turn it off. Now I can push that corner a little bit more, turn it back on, so I can go down the line. Okay, so here, I'll go ahead and run that down the line. And then I'll turn it off. I can kind of work that a little bit more. It's not going to be perfect, right? You can see I'm running into some struggles down here where I'm not liking the difference, so I might just go and move it by hand. Then you always want to kind of smooth, right? Always just looking at the shape. Just kind of smoothing through the shape. But okay, so we're getting something, and we haven't used anything special other than brushes, regular old brushes. That's all we've been leveraging here. I've just been looking at it, making sure I understand the shape. I'll always be checking out the shapes. We'll get in here and we'll start doing the same stuff. Push that a little bit. This a little bit. Looks like I overpinched. I might undo that, switch to the move, reposition. Okay, so yes, this does take longer in some cases, but in most cases, it gets the job done, which is faster than not getting anything done. All right, so now when we bring back your character and we look at the cowling, right, we would adjust it. And I could even use some of the same brushes on this cowling to get it right. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to that. I want to make sure I'm still seeing that emblem. And his chest. If we don't want to hide all of the detail, we just put in there, right? Let's switch to this first. So I'm just holding Option there, or Alt, allow me to get showing both sides. Just adjusting. And I'd probably push it back a little bit. Grab this and move it up. The move brush is so powerful. You just can do so much with it. Making my brush the right size. And smooth it. Okay, and then we're going to go back into the cowling there. Make sure I have the move tool. Push push that out.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I enjoy something for living with this because I'm stressed. You see that?
Okay? Now, if I know that I've matched his outfit pieces to the reference, I do not change it to match his body, because now that we've got something on target, we would want to make sure that that's what we were hitting up in the reference. Okay, but now we're getting more accuracy. How do you feel about it?
It looks good.
Okay, but the reason I wanted to show you that it's all about just shaping, right? And we didn't have to turn on Dynamesh on some of this. We could have just thrown more geometry at certain parts and pieces and eventually forced it into shape. And I want you to know that shaping, of course, is not easy, but if you just stick to that instead of trying to, a lot of people want to get into the technical side of modeling, and when it comes down to it, if you don't know how to use soft select inside of Maya, that's great. You're just going to move more vertices, right? So, case in point, when a lot of the traditional born animators, and what I mean by that is the ones that were animating on paper before animating in the computer, right? Those people, they didn't know anything about a computer, right? So I'll take one of them. You're going to have them in animation pre-production. Anthony, he is from Disney. He is the department chair, right? And I remember when I first met Anthony, I was like, okay, what do you want to learn? He's like, oh, I've seen this program called ZBrush. And I'm like, oh, you really want to get into that? And he's like, yeah. And all I did was show him a sphere, how to move his cameras, how to use the standard brush, the clay buildup brush, and the move brush, and how to divide. And he sculpted in about an hour and a half a beautiful Abraham Lincoln bust. Right? So here's somebody that knows nothing about the application other than the few things I showed him, and his art eye took over. He just pushed the clay until it gave him what he needed. And I think in this case, you can do that as well, right? The technical stuff is the technical stuff. You'll have time to get that. So show me your shaping abilities by utilizing basic tools. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So that's really, even if we look at this belt, right, around his leg, well, it should be a belt. Now, we could use the curved strap. Okay, but even if we didn't know anything about the curved strap, we can come in here and start flattening that belt out. To look more like a strap. Because right now it kind of feels a little bit like clay. And I know I'm using a brush that you might be like, well, you didn't show us that brush. So let's ignore that brush and let's use a brush that I know I use all the time in class. It doesn't give us as smooth of a surface, but it works, right? I'm going to use the clay buildup. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it in the negative. And I'm just pushing with the clay buildup. Let me hide the reference so we're not looking at that. And yeah, we're going to get a little bit more artifacting. Let's change the brush a little bit more with this one, but I can build up right here. Smooth lightly. Take off lazy. I think it's got a slight lazy mouse on it. There we go. So what do I know about this brush? This brush is giving me a flattened type of characteristic. It's how it places the clay. I'm just pushing down where I need to push down, and I'm pulling up where I need to pull up. Right here, I'm just going to push that. Just like I would clay. I'm going to push in. And if I notice an area, right, like up here, it's kind of coming up in a weird way, I'm going to push that down. And over here, I need to bring it up, so I'm going to bring this up a little bit more. Oh, too much. One thing I need to make sure is I have is, we talk about this, auto masking. I'm starting to pull the backside through. I don't want to be doing that. I have to do a little bit of repair work. Just going to smooth that out. All right, I'm going to build up where I need to build up. Push down where I need to push down. Smoothing every now and then. Stuff like this, one of the things you can do is you can build up. It helps sometimes you just build up really aggressively, then smooth it. It kind of unfolds the topology. Tagging it with a little bit of a smooth after I build that up, and then I'm going to kick this one down. Alt, pushing that down, getting more of that flatness out of it. Okay, so once I get some kind of an edge in there, well, now I just move it. Just go in here and move the edge. I'm going to move my camera, making sure my camera is always in line with where I need to be. The inside as well. And if I need to get smaller influence, I need a smaller brush. I'm being gentle, not very aggressive with the movements. I'm going to move around. I'm going to look, here's another wavering area. Let's pull that down, pull this up. I'm going to nudge, just nudging that. On the inside, same thing, nudge it up, pull this down, kind of straighten it out. A little bit of smooth to help out that little corner. Over here, push up, push down. It's difficult, believe it or not, you can do a lot of shaping just with the brush.
When is week 3 due?
It would be Monday night. Right, so if we look at this from where it was, right, it feels like more like a piece of cloth that's been tied around his leg or something like that. You're just pushing the shape with what's there. We can smooth all these artifacts out. We can grab pinch, or we can add a subdivision to it, or whatever we would need. But I think it's mainly just pushing that shape a little bit more, trusting in what you see in the reference. So again, before flattening it out, making it feel more like a strap. Right? And there's still more work that needs to be done, but we're pushing it in the right direction. Okay, so at this point, again, you've got to evaluate. And I know And even when Scott was in there yesterday, he said, learn what you can and get through the classes. And that's really what's important. I really wish grades weren't tied into anything. I wish I could just do pass or fail. We've played around with that idea before, but anytime we implement it, we get the students that are grade hungry. They get all upset when they, hey, you passed, kind of deal. Um, but I think I want to see from you more pushing to what you see, right? Even if you don't know all the tricks of the trade and all these other things, right? Get the good shape out of the asset. You've got the pieces there. Now you just need to shape those pieces. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, if it were me and I was looking at progressing into this next week and not having that much time, I think I would get the assets done and submit what I have, considering that we're on Thursday, and I would then just refine the shapes and evolve them as part of week 3 as well. Of course, adding more. We're going to need an eyelid. We're going to need lips. We're going to need some clothing seams and things like that. And some wrinkles, because even though he's wearing a skin-tight suit, there's probably going to be wrinkles in the groin, behind the knee, in the inner part of the arm. Those things might show up as some wrinkle information. But yeah, I would try and plan it out to get them done and move forward. Anybody that completes everything to a decent, let's say you got D's on all your assets all month long, you're still going to pass. You're going to pass with probably a C, if not higher, with the free GPS points and the participation stuff. You know what I mean? That stuff is going to pad the grade a little bit. So anybody that does and completes, I honestly think it's at that point difficult to fail.
Okay, excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's the people that don't do the stuff. They don't do the dailies. They don't do any of the integrateds. They don't complete. They'll be like, oh, but I wanted these 2 to look great, and they don't do the other parts. Did you get your week 1 grade?
Yeah, I got an 81.
Yeah. No, I think it was a little bit higher than that, wasn't it? Like an 80 something. I can look at it. But let me. I wonder how I can look at it.
Is it possible to show you what else I've done and also get a talk through on how to submit?
Well, I'm going to stop screen sharing here. How do I stop? There we go. I'm seeing the stop button on your side and my side. That's a little bit confusing. There we go. Yeah.
This is what I have for my other character.
Okay.
I should I share with you the file or something, or because this is my second character? Because this character and this character, these are the 2 that I'm gonna be working on.
Okay.
So when I go to turn them in, like, how should I number them? How should it look? Because I already have my my first picture. I have my second one here. This is my third, and this is my fourth.
Okay, so what I would do with those is I would put those into a folder called Week 1 Submission Images.
What are you talking about? Put 3 and 4 into a folder?
No, anything that was a Week 1 submission, right? You're going to want to, so just new folder and put all those in there. Okay, and then just drag and drop those, because when you're going for week 2, you're going to renumber JPEG 1 or 1 JPEG, 2 JPEG, because you're just going to replicate the same steps, and this way it won't take those into consideration.
Even this one?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I would take these and
So
basically redo it.
Well, yeah, you're gonna the template's a little different for week 2. I can show you one that I've gotten. Bring that up. Okay, so the template changes to all right. You're gonna submit your second reads.
Oh, I never got to those.
Okay.
I don't even know how to do those.
You're gonna have this one here. You'd want to size your images better. See how they're all different sizes. We wouldn't want to do that. But if we look at this bottom one, this is nicely put together, other than this one being a different size. But for week 2, we're going to actually be submitting week 2 images and week 1 images. So we have these templates for you online in the week 2 deliverables. You download them, you put them together just like you did the week 1 with the addition of the extra information. This way I can look at your week 1 and your week 2 and see how you progressed.
Wait a minute. Wait. So this right here, what would I number this when I put it into the Photoshop template?
What would you number?
This. When I put it into the Photoshop template, what would I number this? How am I supposed to turn in week 1 and week 2 at the same time?
Well, you know how you you downloaded the template, so you can see your blockout template, right? PSD, your Photoshop document. Okay, so this was a Photoshop template for week 1. You're now going to go to week 2 deliverables and download the new. Let me go into the section.
So I download that template, but then I have to number it, right?
Well, when you're done with setting up character 1, you're going to save it out as 1 JPEG. Well, actually, character 1 would be 3 JPEG, because your first 2 images, the first 2 templates are going to be your second reads. That's the contour drawing.
So that's good. I didn't do those because I didn't know how to do those. I thought those were just daily activities.
Okay. Yeah, because that's kind of what we touched base on at the beginning of week 2. Trying to think here.
So you want me to just open the image in Photoshop and just put lines over it?
You can, instead of utilizing somebody asked that question in class. Do we have to use the contour lines, like using the pen tool, because it says must use pen tool? But honestly, you could just sketch the lines over. sketch them over the whatever they need to be sketched over. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So you just take your first read images, the Photoshop document, you'd clear out all your shapes, and you would just sketch contour lines over them.
So wait. So I'm gonna go into Photoshop.
Mhm.
I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. So wait, I'm gonna go into Photoshop, and I'm gonna put lines over this.
Let me look at it.
I'm gonna put lines over this.
No, you would clear all that information out, and you would be kind of the same way you did this, where you had your image next to it, and then you put the shapes over it. Instead of putting shapes over it, you're going to put contour lines on it.
So I'm gonna put lines over this. I'm gonna put lines over this.
Hold on, I see. Yes.
But then what would I number it when I do that?
Well, for that, you're going to want to go into grading. Why did it switch me to grading?
Do I save it out as JPEG number 1 or number 2?
Well, you would have two of them, so one would be 1 and one would be 2.
But then when I do the other Photoshop assignment where it's supposed to look like this, what do I number this? Because week 1 already has 1 through 8. What's week 2 gonna have? 1 through 4?
1 through 6.
But how do I then go about in Photoshop doing that thing where I put them together?
Well, it's the same way, because remember when you do the sourcing, right here where it says in the source files section, you go to browse. So if you have a folder that says week 1 images and a folder that says week 2 images, it doesn't matter if you have 1 through 8 in one folder and 1 through 8 in the other folder. You're going to tell it which folder to pull the images from.
So how do I do both at the same time? Do I just highlight them?
You're going to do that by building the images in a new template. So when you come down here,
Wait. Wait, are you showing me on your end?
yeah, can you see the one? Oh, that's the wrong template. That's the second read template.
So wait, where do I go to? Not for week 2, but where do I go to do that thing where I put them together? Because the written instructions confuse me.
So are you talking about when you're actually building? So these are Photoshop templates?
Yeah. No, where do I go to stockpile them to make that PDF thing? I forgot how.
That's going to be Photoshop.
How do I do it in Photoshop though? Do I go to edit or file in order to make the PDF?
Well, once you build them, so here's the example of the Photoshop template. You'll re-put in now the 3/4 images. If you don't have one, no big deal. You can substitute a side or back or something. But then you put your new from week 2
Wait.
and then week 1 model.
Week 2 is supposed to be 3/4.
Well, you're going to put a 3/4 image in there because going from week 2 to week 3.
Because I only took side shots. I didn't know we're supposed to take them. Oh.
That's no big deal. You just be able to screenshot something, another angle.
Alright.
Right. So you just reopen your asset, rotate it 3/4, and just screenshot it again.
Okay, so once I do all that, where do I go in Photoshop to make the PDF?
Okay, so that's going to fall under this section right here. So if we just go through this, number 1, so this is strategy for week 2 PDF submission. Okay, so I'm going to go into Photoshop. And step 1, it says right here, place all of your images from this week's activities into one folder. Images 1 and 2 will be of your second reads. Images 3 through 6 will be of your secondaries part 1. Those will be your characters. You're going to open Photoshop. In Photoshop, navigate to File, Automate. So we're in Photoshop. We're going to go up to the top, File, Automate, PDF Presentation. We're going to see, let's see, what's the next thing? In Source Files, select section on Browse. So click on Browse. So in this section, you'll see Browse. You'll tell it what images or where to find them. Make sure you're on multi-page document. Background is white. Everything is the same. And then it'll give you the option for click Save. Once you click Save, it'll actually take all your images that you sourced in numerical order, and it'll generate a multi-page.
Wait, where did you click on? How did you get them in? Like, I didn't see you click on.
Well, I didn't. I don't have any images. So you would go to Source Images up at the top under PDF Presentation when you open that up. Source Images, and you'll click Browse. And you'll locate wherever your files are. So you would probably have a folder called Week 2 Submission Images.
So I'll highlight week 1 and week 2.
No, your week 1 images and your week 2 images will be built into the PDF, or not into the PDF, but into the PSD template. You see the difference between a week 1 template and a week 2 template? A week 1 template is only these first 6 blocks.
Oh.
New template and week 3 template, we've added another row.
Oh, okay.
Right? So what you're going to do is you're going to have your reference, you'll have your week 2 images, you'll have your week 1 images, and then you'll save that out as whatever JPEG number it needs to be.
Okay.
Once you have those built, then you'll do the PDF presentation.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Okay, then. Excellent.
Right. We got that.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
I'll probably get to work then.
Okay. If you start to struggle or whatever, and I'm not available, you know, stopping off at the school is not a bad idea. There's, you know, a lot of people, like I've always saying that there's a lot of people that have been through the class, probably very familiar, and most people don't mind helping at all.
That's nice.
Right? So, you know, kind of reach out and see if there's anybody there that, you know, if you get stuck. You might not even get stuck. You might bang right through it all and be good.
Hopefully so.
Okay?
Well, take care then. Have a wonderful night.
All right, you too. And happy working.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back to grading.
Awesome.
And just let me know when you've submitted your file.
Will do.
All right.
Hopefully either tonight or tomorrow, but I'll send you an email.
Okay. Sounds good.